Hello once again. I'm Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. And today we are traveling all around Pennsylvania on a great adventure. We're doing about an 8-hour road trip in a circle. I have my parents with me today on this road trip. And we are visiting famous graves in Pennsylvania. So follow us on this adventure. Sit back and enjoy famous graves in Pennsylvania. You might recognize this theme music here. So this is the first grave we're going to. If you remember this show, it's called the Beverly Hillbillies. And we are visiting someone who was on the Beverly Hillbillies. And let's see if you recognize who this is. Sorry, my shadow's getting in the way. So this is our first stop on this adventure. And this is Miss Nancy Jane Copp, born August 28, 1921, died February 3rd, 1991. She was also a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy Reserve Waves from 1944 to 46 during World War II. Now if you look at the bottom, it says Miss Jane Hathaway. She played the character of the secretary on the Beverly Hillbillies as Miss Jane Hathaway. I'll tell you a little information on her. In her early life, she was born near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in the town we are from right now, in Mifflintown, PA. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in journalism from Florida State College for Women. She continued her studies for a master's degree in English and French at the University of Miami, where she was a member of the sorority Phi Beta Pi. In her career, television, she was on such shows as the Bob Cummings Show, also the series Cheyenne, a pilot episode, an Orson Welles little known pilot episode called The Fountain of Youth. She did other TV shows. She also appeared in I Love Lucy in the 1956 episode Lucy Meets the Queen. But Miss Copp got her main break when she played the character Miss Jane Hathaway in the Beverly Hillbillies. So yes, we are at her grave. Miss Hathaway, well-known actress who is buried here in Pennsylvania. Now, she was diagnosed with cancer in 1990, which she received chemotherapy. By 1991, the cancer had spread, and she died on February 3rd, 1991, at the age of 69 in Palm Desert, California. Her remains are interred here in Westminster Presbyterian Cemetery in Mifflintown, Pennsylvania. And it looks like she has some other family members buried close to her right here. Probably her parents or grandparents. So I hope you're enjoying this vlog. Stay with me as we continue on and go to our next grave site. So follow me. next stop, second grave. This is during the big band era, 1930s, 1940s. The song is called St. Louis Blues. So I don't know if you realize whose grave we were going to, but here we are. So yes, we are standing in front of James Dorsey's grave.
Feel safe at every step. Go to Aspen Dental and save 50% for Arch on basic replacement dentures.
And we are in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania. So I'm going to give you a little history about James Dorsey. James Francis Dorsey. He was born February 29, 1904 and died June 12, 1957. Professionally known as Jimmy Dorsey, was an American jazz, clarinetist, saxophonist, composer, and big band leader. He recorded and composed the jazz and pop standards I'm Glad There Is You, In the World of Ordinary People, and It's a Dreamer in Me. His other major recordings were Tailspin, John Silver, So Many Times, Anapola, Brazil, Pennies from Heaven with Bing Crosby, Louis Armstrong, and Francis Langford, Grand Central Getaway, and So Rare. He played clarinet on the seminal jazz standard Singing the Blues in 1927 and was the original 1930 recording of Georgia on My Mind, which were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. So he was a big band leader during the early 40s. His father, Thomas, was initially a coal miner, but would later become a music teacher and marching band director. So that's where James got his interest in music. And he is buried here in Shenandoah at the Blessed Virgin Mary Cemetery. So follow me as we continue on, and we will go visit our next famous grave in Pennsylvania. We are now approaching another famous grave. We are in Penn Argyll, Pennsylvania, in the Fairview Cemetery. And I have my parents with me today on this adventure. So we are approaching this grave. And if you don't recognize whose grave this is by this song, you'll soon find out when we reach it. We're coming up on it now. It's this heart-shaped tombstone. And here we are. Jane Mansfield, Hollywood actress. Born April 19th, 1933, died June 29th, 1967. Says we live to love you more each day. So I'm going to give you a little history on her today while we're here, and let you know about her tragic story. She was only 34 years old when she died. So I'm gonna tell you her story, how she died, and her tragic story. Now, she is from this area, which is Penargle, Pennsylvania. She's an American actress. She's also a singer and nightclub entertainer, as well as a Playboy playmate. She did pose for Playboy magazine. Her career is short-lived. She died at a young age, like I said. I'll see if I can tell you some of the movies. Her other major movie performances were The Girl Can't Help It in 1956, The Wayward Bus in 1957, and Too Hot to Handle in 1960. And then she had a nude scene in a movie called Promises, Promises in 1963. Now, Mansfield took her professional name from her first husband, which name was Paul Mansfield. She was married a couple different times and mentally involved with numerous men, including Robert and John F. Kennedy, of course, and her attorney, Samuel S. Brody, and also Las Vegas entertainer Nelson Sardelli. Okay, so the story goes, they were outside of Louisiana, New Orleans. Like I said, she was 34 years old when she died on June 29th, 1967, in an automobile accident on Route 90. So I am going to tell you her story and show you some pictures. So just bear with me. Now, she does have a famous daughter who plays on Law and Order, and she looks a lot like her mother. So I'll show you a picture. On the left here we have Jane herself. In the middle we have her daughter, which plays on Law and Order. Now they did a split comparison so you can see how much she looks like her daughter. Now her daughter was in the accident. She had her 3 kids from a previous marriage with her at the time. And I'm going to tell you the story. They were traveling on Route 90, and she was doing some entertaining in the nightclubs to make some money, some extra money. And at the time, she was dating Samuel S. Brody, which was her attorney, along with her kids, 8-year-old Mickey, 6-year-old Zoltan, and 3-year-old Markeisha, which I just showed you a photograph of. Ronald B. Harris was a driver for Gus Stevens Dinner Club, which was one place she was doing a show. Now, as they were going down Route 90, they come into a foggy area, which was a truck spraying for bugs, and through the fog they didn't see, and they ran underneath a semi-truck and killing the 3 of them instantly, while the 3 kids survived. They were asleep in the back seat. So that's how she died. Tragic death for her. And because of that, this bar that we recognize today on the back of semis is called the Mansfield Bar, named after Jane. She went up under there, and the rumor had it that she was decapitated, which just isn't true. It's a rumor. They were all 3 killed instantly, but her wig was seen by a news reporter at the scene of the accident laying on the dash of the car, and automatically assumed that she was scalped, which she wasn't. But of course she did die from the trauma from the injury. To give you an idea, I do have a photograph with me of the crash vehicle that they died in. So as you can see, the car was pretty messed up. It ripped the top of the car off. So the 3 in the front did die. And this is in a museum of in California of famous death cars of famous people, and that is the car she died in. So, tragic story and a tragic end to Miss Jane Mansfield, Hollywood actress. So I wanted to show you her grave and tell you her story. So follow me and my parents as we continue this adventure of famous graves in Pennsylvania. I hope you're enjoying this blog, and we'll continue on to our next stop. Headed to our next grave. This music should be able to tell you who it is. We are in Fraser, PA, in the Solomon Cemetery. And we are now at his grave. People my age will remember this person. He was 30 years old when he died. Name's Jim Croce. I'm going to tell you a little about Jim Croce. So bear with me. James Joseph Croce, born January 10th, 1943 to September 20th, 1973. He is an American folk and rock singer-songwriter between 1967 and 1973. Croce released 5 studio albums and numerous singles during this period. Some of the songs that he wrote was Don't Mess Around with Jim, Time in a Bottle, Bad Bad Leroy Brown, I Got a Name, Operator. So a lot of these songs are from the 60s and 70s. On September 20th, 1973, the day before the lead single to his 5th album, I've Got a Name, was released, Croce and 5 others died in a plane crash. He was at the height of his popularity. Croce's music continued to chart throughout the 1970s following his death. His wife Ingrid Croce was his early songwriting partner. She continued to write and record after his death. Jim's son, A.J. Croce, became a singer-songwriter in the 1990s. Now, he died in the plane crash, but also along with him was his mom and his partner that played the guitar with him, Pilot, and a couple other people. Sad story to a great artist who died at a very early age of only 30 years old. So I hope you're enjoying this as we continue to our next spot and our next grave. So continue to sit back and enjoy this vlog and follow us to our next stop. Okay, we are coming up on our next grave. Now this is an unmarked grave. We're in Holy Cross Cemetery, just 4 miles outside of Philadelphia. And I'm playing creepy music because it's a creepy story behind this person's death in his grave. Again, he is in an unmarked. Now I want to mention too that I have honored all the people that we have visited today, but I will not honor this person's grave. Now he's buried by this stone in this general area right here in an unmarked grave, buried 10 feet down. Now, creepy story behind this guy's grave and the person who's buried here. Since I have no grave marker to show you the person's name, I will tell you this person is no other than the notorious serial killer, America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes. And he's buried right here, 10 feet down. Now for you that don't know who H.H. Holmes is, he was America's first serial killer during the 1920s World Fair. Or not 1920s, I'm sorry, it was in 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Built a hotel which became known as the Murder Castle. It's believed that he killed 21 people or more that he confessed to. Now there could be a lot more murders that this guy did. We're not sure, because the rumor has it that this same person could also be the notorious Jack the Ripper, who did the famous murders in London. Now, it says he was an American serial killer, active from December 1891 to November 1894. Despite his confession of 27 murders, including some of the people who were verbally still alive, while awaiting execution, Holmes was convicted and sentenced to death for only one murder, and that was of accomplice and business partner Benjamin Pizell. Victims were killed in a mixed-use building which he owned in Chicago, located about 3 miles west of 1893 World's Fair Columbian Exposition, supposedly called the World's Fair Hotel and formerly called the Murder Castle. Through evidence suggests the hotel portion was never truly open for business. Besides being a serial killer, Holmes was also a con artist and a trigamist. The subject of more than 50 lawsuits in Chicago alone, Holmes was executed on May 7, 1897, 9 days before his 35th birthday. Now, the story of being Jack the Ripper, his third great-grandson, Jeff Mudgett, believed his great-great-grandfather to be no other than Jack the Ripper. And even the ship record shows that H.H. Holmes was in London at the time of the murders. Now, ironic enough, they found his name on the roster of a ship that returned to the United States. But here's the catcher. When that ship left London back to the United States, the murder stopped. So there is good evidence that he could be no more than also Jack the Ripper. Another strange thing, rumor had it that he fooled people about his grave, that he had another guy executed in his place and kind of skipped out on him being executed. So in 2017, along with his great-great-grandson and some other people and scientists, decided to dig him up and see if it was really him buried here. So what they did is that in 2017 they dug his grave up to see if it was no other than H.H. Holmes buried here. Now what happened is The rumor also had it that he, on his final death wish, wished to be buried 10 feet down, encased in concrete, so no one could ever disturb his body. So what happened is they dug down in, and he was buried at exactly 10 feet. They come to a coffin, and guess what? The coffin was empty. Somebody accidentally dropped their keys during the dig beside the empty coffin and heard a thud. Well, to their surprise, they ran and dug a little deeper under this fake coffin and found that there was cement mixed in with the dirt. A possibility that his wish was granted, but the cement didn't mix well, so there's just reminiscence of cement mixed in with the dirt. Disappointed though, they dug just a little deeper under, and guess what? There was another coffin buried under the one that was empty. A trick of H.H. Holmes to conceal that he was buried there. So they opened the casket of the coffin, or the lid of the coffin of the second one, and there staring him in the face was a skull of someone, but it did have a slight mustache still on the skull, but as the wind hit it, the mustache kind of blew off the skull. So they decided to take the body out and have it DNA tested, along with the great-great-grandson's DNA. And the results finally came back about 7 or 8 months later, and it was H.H. Holmes. So he is buried here, right here in this area, by this stone. And America's first serial killer, and possibly Jack the Ripper. So follow me on this adventure as we continue on to our next spot, and I hope you're enjoying this blog on famous graves in Pennsylvania, and we'll continue when we reach our next destination. Well, folks, sorry, that was our last stop on this adventure. Me and my parents ran out of time. We had like 4 or 5 other graves we wanted to visit, but just didn't have the time. It was a pretty long road trip, so I hope you enjoyed what I did on the blog, and hopefully we can go out there again and do another kind of blog like this, maybe visit some other famous graves. So this has been Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. If you have subscribed, please share this blog or share my information of my my YouTube channel on Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. Give it a thumbs up. Feel free to leave comments, suggestions of other things you'd like to see, and hit the notification bell at the top right hand corner to let you know when other videos are uploaded. Till then, go out and have your own adventures and enjoy life. It's Uncle Jimmy, Jimmy's Train Station and Travel Adventures. Till next time, goodbye.